Hello everyone. So I got my hands on a pair of these Earfun Air Pro 2s. Normally they cost $80 and I got mine on Amazon for $51.99. So I figured I'd give them a shot. They were fairly well reviewed. I'm sort of late in the game with these things, but I literally just picked them up because I saw them for their price and I said, let me give them a shot. So for me, when I get any earbud, the criteria is sort of always the same. It has to fit comfortably, and if it doesn't fit comfortably, then what's the point? Because I'm never going to put them on regardless of how good they sound. Number two, they have to sound good, obviously. Otherwise, again, what's the point? And then three, ANC. If they have ANC on them, if they are sold and advertised with ANC, I don't care how much money I spend, it should have ANC, at least a semblance of it. And I'm going to add a fourth now to my list, and the fourth is battery life. And I'm not talking about battery life inside the carrying case by itself. I'm actually talking about battery life inside the earbud. I think the issue with some earbuds are if you've got 3 or 4 hours of battery life, that's a problem. It's just not enough, especially if you're away from your case or if you're active and you're doing something. Putting something back in the case might not be something that you're able to do. So I like battery life inside the earbud itself. And let's just start with that really quickly with these earphones. Battery life is great. We're talking about 7 hours in the earbud by itself. So these are nice, and that's with ANC on. So they'll last you regardless of what you're doing. I don't think you'll need to be concerned about running out of juice during a given day, even if you don't have the case to put them in right away. Okay, with that said, let's get to fit. In terms of fit, these have an interesting design. They're very similar, of course, to the AirPods, the early AirPod edition, not quite the AirPod Pro. They're lightweight. They only come in at about 5.5 grams, and so the lightweight is important for a comfortable fit because if you put them in and if it's a heavy earbud like the Bose QC, which is around 8 grams, even though the Bose QC is incredibly comfortable because all that's hitting your skin is really the silicone here, it's still heavy, and so over time it wears on you and that contributes to your ear fatigue. With these, they're about 5.5 grams, like I said, so they're lightweight. In terms of comfort, they're going to be comfortable for some, but not comfortable for others. And the reason is that the bulb here that's right above the stem is actually pretty big and it's plastic. So it's not wrapped around in any type of silicone or rubber. And so if you've got a deep conch like I do, you're going to feel the bud, especially in the cartilage area. For most people, though, I think you'll be fine. And even for me, because it's lightweight, there wasn't a tremendous amount of pressure in the ear. So for me, after about 10 to 15 minutes, I felt a little bit of fatigue. But then I just let it go. And after about another 10 minutes, the fatigue was pretty much gone. And I think I could wear these for an extended period of time. So in terms of fit, this should be comfortable for most. Now, with that said, this segues into sound. We all know that in order to get good sound, regardless of the earbud, you need to have a nice seal in your ear. This is not long, right? So that means when you're putting this in your ear, if you've got a deep conch, you're not going to get a super deep seal. It's not going to go deep into your ear canal. This is going to adversely affect, potentially, both sound and ANC. For me, I've got a deep conch, but I was still able to jam it in there fairly well. So again, I think for most people, that's not going to be an issue. The fit was secure. I could move around. It wasn't falling out. So again, fit is fine. Let's talk about sound. This is a bass forward earbud. Okay. Now there's some caveats to that bass forward though. If you're listening to bass heavy music, I actually wouldn't use these. And I know that that sounds counterintuitive, but it's too bass forward. And the bass on these earbuds shows, I think it's relatively low cost. It's not a complex bass. It's not deep. It's not layered. It's pretty much a thump. If you're listening to bass heavy music, it's going to thump. And for me, it was not comfortable. It wasn't necessarily enjoyable. It was a little bit too much. Now, with that said, when I listen to more acoustic music or mid heavy music or high heavy music, these sounded wonderful. They were cleaner than I expected them to be. So it's really strange, and I know there's going to be mixed reviews on this. It's a bass heavy earbud, but if you listen to bass heavy music, I don't think they're particularly good. If you listen to genres that have bass, but it's not bass heavy, I think these became very balanced and quite enjoyable to listen to. For me, fortunately, that's sort of more my genre of music. I like bass, but I don't like bass heavy necessarily, right? Obviously, it depends on the mood. I can always listen to acoustic music, though. I always enjoy listening to good lyrics and mids that are high and forward. And so because of that, these actually worked for me. I think opinions are going to vary though. I think if you like bass heavy music and you try these out, you actually might be a little bit disappointed even though this is a bass heavy sound signature. Go figure. Okay, that sound, let's go into ANC. The ANC on this is good. Again, I got these for $51.99. This is definitely ANC that's more than $51.99. With that said, though, there is a background hiss. That background hiss is going to be evident when you're listening to music that's not particularly loud, and certainly in quiet settings, if you just have ANC on, you'll hear the hiss. Now, you can go through the whole progression. You can go ANC off, ANC on, transparency mode, and you can tell the difference. The transparency mode on this is good. It's really good. So if you're looking for an earbud that has good transparency mode, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in this one. The sound was natural. It was better transparency mode on this than the Liberty 3s. Almost the same as the Bose QC. Okay, so transparency is really good. In terms of overall ANC, it's clearly not on Sony and Bose level. It's not quite at Liberty 3 level either. It's not quite at Jabra Elite 7 either. It's slightly below that. But it's good. The challenge, though, with these ANCs, and maybe this partly contributing to the deepness or lack thereof into your ear, getting rid of sound on the higher level, like voice, it's not good. Low, it is good. But put this in perspective. If you had the Liberty Pro 3s in your ear and you had the TV on and you had ANC on and music playing, you wouldn't hear anything on the TV. You wouldn't hear people talking, you just see them moving their lips. If you put these in, do the same setup, ANC on, music playing, TV on, you're going to hear the voices. You just will. Now, that is where this earbud is showing its price tag. But with that said, this might not be a deal breaker for a lot of folks because, again, this does work fairly well on the lower end. Just on the higher end, it doesn't. So don't expect to go into a cafe where a bunch of people are talking and you think that this is going to get rid of all the noise and everybody talking. It won't, but it'll do a job, if that makes sense. Okay, so to quickly summarize, fit on this is good. Not the most comfortable earbud I've ever worn, to be honest with you. The Jabra is more comfortable. The Liberty Pro 3s are probably more comfortable. The Bose QCs are more comfortable, but they're heavier, so over time they create a little bit of fatigue. But these aren't bad. Because they're lightweight and because of the stem design, they're not bad. It's just, I wish this wasn't as big as what it was or what it is. And I sort of wish they had some type of cover on it because there's a seam here. There's the plastic seam and you can start feeling that over a little bit. But with that said, it's not bad. I wouldn't return them because of lack of comfort. You can get away with it. Sound is good. Bass forward. I don't think the bass is particularly layered and complex though. So in my opinion, if you listen to bass heavy music, this actually, and counterintuitively speaking, but this actually might not be for you. Music that has mids and highs, I thought this was beautiful, clean and crisp, and I was really impressed with that. And then finally with ANC, the ANC is decent. gets rid of a decent amount of low end, but not so much high end. Would I keep these? Yeah. I mean, these would not be something that I would just put in the drawer. I would actually break them out. As a matter of fact, I would leave them by the bedside drawer. And if I was watching videos or listening to music in the evening and my wife is by my side and maybe she's watching TV, I would actually use these because they're right there and they'd be quite convenient. And so in this regard, the $50 is pretty well spent. So good job, Earfun, for making a nice budget earbud that I think will work for most people. Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And until next time, bye-bye.